An invitation, an opening of doors, a conversation between artists. This is how the Admirational Invitational was born. During a time when the world feels more isolated and closed off than usual, Studio E asked their current roster of artists to invite artists whom they admire to this winter show. The artists took a different approach to this call to action. Some invited strangers whose work they had quietly respected from afar. Others invited younger artists who might need such a fanning of flames for their budding careers. And still others invited older, more established artists whose work seemed to be under-recognized. Marc DeLong creates evocative sculptural works through a physical bringing together of found materials. In crafting three-dimensional weavings out of discarded cardboard, cotton thread, and repurposed boxes, DeLong pursues and points to the bizarre, surreal, and sometimes dreamlike features of our everyday life. Kate White depicts scenes inspired by her everyday life in Oakland, California, where the human figure is a constant presence. Flatness and depth vie for tension in White's worlds. Here, symbols take on the personality of people, and people almost veer into caricatures of themselves. Magda Baker dreams up an alternative and playful world through her unexpectedly bold and colorful prints. Using various printmaking techniques, Baker takes on heavier subjects such as troubling gender roles and norms with an exuberantly devious charade of characters, such as her domesticized devils. Marc Levere creates layered landscapes where plants are personified and lakes become lifelike. Ghostly trees emerge from the dark forests and sinister voids. Here, it's difficult to tell whether life is blooming or death is setting in. Levere's oil-painted worlds hang in the balance, suspended somewhere between budding and decay. Anna Fiddler's gouache paintings might first appear aesthetically reminiscent of times past, but they are actually bold meditations on the future. Her precise lines and mirrored shapes present what Fiddler terms energy portraits of thoughts and ideas in contemplating the unknown, spiritual, and subconscious worlds. Her paintings appear so symmetrical and meticulous that one might assume they are computer-generated rather than painstakingly hand-painted, a sleight of hand that only adds to their intrigue and deep ruminations. J. Stern creates paintings of domestic interiors through exaggerated nods to cubism and abstraction. He uses a bright, richly soaked color palette and tight close-ups of familiar interiors to trigger and question memory while creating deeply personal portraits of remembered spaces. In Laundry Day No. 1 and No. 4, you can almost smell the crispness of the laundered clothes as they hang before you. Jared Deldeo's large oil paintings are both haunting and familiar. He captures close-ups of our interior and exterior worlds that feel reminiscent and distant simultaneously. A grandmother's hand-crocheted quilt hanging in the sun, an orange and white traffic barrier just outside a dark forest, a constricted and sunlit rooftop view, a horse fenced playfully in a yard by a blue kiddie pool, and a plastic bag floating eerily over desert mountains. These are the scenes of Deldeo's inviting and shadowy world. Jesse Miller combines sound and physical installations to create environments that transport. His painted worlds are dreamscapes where the signifiers of natural elements are pushed to their limits, testing the boundaries between inside and outside, natural and artificial, self and other. Jamie Hart makes objects that result from extended attention given to materials and situations that are simultaneously common and intimately singular. The extraction and fragile maintenance of isolated strands in these experiences is a means of considering them. In the objects, there is something that remains withdrawn from the viewer, like a reason for being there that is never fully given. Jessica Flores' intricate, hand-beaded creations delight in their sunny colors and playful shapes. Perhaps best known for her personal ornaments in the form of jewelry, Flores' large-scale beaded wall hangings bring her meticulous craft to a different human scale, referencing tapestry weavings with their ordered, geometric patterns. Eve Cohen works with the discarded detritus of the world's refuse, creating new lives for forgotten trash. Through character development, both in performances on stage and in her sculptural collaged works, Cohen creates alternative lives through imaginative play and defiant spirit. Amy Bravo creates monumental montages, combining graphite, acrylic, and oil pastels on unstretched canvas. With her loose graphite sketches, Bravo envisions a world that is both playful and evocative, haunting and lingering. Her work presents an invitation to dive deeper into a rich narrative world to uncover the stories beneath. Bianca Fields invites animals and cartoons into her layered textural paintings, walking a fine line between illustrating pain and joy. Her thick, dimensional brushstrokes and raucous color palette amplify the screams and yelps emitted by her characters, which crowd the compositions with their visually loud expressions. Paul Kamada has been painting in yarn for years, knitting abstraction onto canvas to blur the lines between art and craft. One suspects that for Kamada, boundaries between artistic disciplines are less rules to abide by and more invitations to conjure new worlds where shape and form evoke simultaneous feelings of unification and shattering into 1,000 pieces. Admiration falls into that category of emotions deemed social, those that depend on the thoughts, feelings, or actions of others. By contrast, emotions such as happiness and sadness require awareness only of one's own internal state. Emotions like admiration remind us that we are not solo silos or islands, but instead are social creatures deeply affected by our communities. Even without direct physical contact, the actions and outputs of others can have a great influence on our inner emotional landscapes. It is a welcome reminder that even in isolation, we can still embody a feeling of connectivity merely by calling forth an image from someone we appreciate. Under the auspices of admiration, this show brings together artists from across North America, uniting rural and urban artists spanning the United States and Canada. While media news outlets have lately focused our attention on many maps, both electoral and pandemic-related, Admirational Invitational encourages us to draw a new map, one that locates the people, places, and art that helps us find our own terrain again. We are more than our personal islands. Let us remember that expansive, generous sentiments such as admiration can help us chart a new course back to one another.